Okay, this is what my screen cap technology did not want to pick up, but here is what his eyes turned into after he said, "Your world's going to end." Um, all right, so we've been back from Jonathan's for about a week now. Just wanted to sum up on what went down. It was incredibly fun. It was humbling. It was sobering. It was golly, an experience, a supernatural experience, and you just kind of get used to the way the Lord communicates with them because it's very two-way rather, not one way. It's dynamic and it's in real time. It's incredible to see um, how that operates because I would be in the car with them and I would be testing the spirits because he'd be praying to the Father and he'd be you know, opening up the sources, and they would say the words that he's saying out loud that he's hearing, and he's saying, "Lord, I'm hearing you say this. I'm hearing you say you're coming soon. Is it true?" And it would say like pretty darn quick, on the way, like look up, things like that. And so I was testing the spirits, and I was praying, to myself, and I just felt the urge to open up my Bible, and it landed right on Malachi 3:1, my thumb right there, and it said, "Behold, I send my servant, the messenger, before me." And I had asked the Lord the question, is Jonathan Gleck really your messenger? Is he your guy? I said, is he working for you or is he working for the enemy and I'm being deceived? And that's what it landed on. And then later that night, I did the exact same thing. I was falling asleep in my bed, and I just had my private time with the Lord. I was praying, and I was just saying, Lord, I'm down here in San Antonio. I took off work. I'm a whole week to do this. Am I doing your will? Am I working for your agent, or am I working for an enemy, an agent of the enemy, and I'm being deceived? And I hit shuffle on my iPhone Bible app, and the verse that was on there whenever I opened up my iPhone app was Malachi 3:1. Behold, I send my servant the messenger. So do the math on the odds of that. That was my confirmation, and that was just one amongst 100. Literally, within a week, I saw 100 supernatural confirmations the Lord was delivering to us that He's coming soon, that judgment is coming soon, and that to deliver this DVD message that we just finished as soon as we could, because time is super short. So that's enough of this creepy eye guy. Sorry, I left it on the screen. We're doing a study on the serpent seed today. So let me go to, yes, Lady Gaga. She was in this egg for 3 days. This was before the Grammys last year, and we got to see Nicki Minaj this year do her demonic possession thing, the Roman Empire. Last year she was mocking Jesus by being in this reptile egg for 3 days, and she got birthed. So let's listen to her words on what this symbolized.
The performance we did last night at the Grammys was, and what we've been doing with the egg and the rebirth, it's meant to signify an artistic statement of birthing a new race, and it's a race with no prejudice, a race within the race of humanity that bears no prejudice against anyone. So that's really the statement in itself. A race within the race of humanity that bears no prejudice against anyone. So that's really the statement.
Watch your eyes. Yeah. There's something demonic going on with Lady Gaga. There's no doubt about that. She just like scans the room. It gives me the willies. Genesis 3:15, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. So this is God doling out his judgment on Lucifer, who had just deceived Eve in partaking of the fruit, which, if we like to eat red meat from the Bible, it's much more logical to understand it as being a sexual exchange. Lucifer seduced Eve, and that's why there's so many scriptures that say that Lucifer is the father of Cain, and that he has offspring. Other translations here says that between thy offspring and her offspring. This isn't some metaphor for sinners or for people that don't belong to God. This is a bloodline, and this explains why the royal families all obsess over keeping their bloodlines at a certain ratio, and it has to do with them being able to continue to look human because in the Old Testament, when these guys were around, the Nephilim, Genesis 6:4, were on the earth. They were giants, and you could tell that they were not human because they were giants. I mean, Goliath had brothers. It was a genetic trait. It was something that people revered and worshipped. They even worshipped them as gods, and they sacrificed babies to these creatures, especially when they would show up in a ship or something like the Sumerians worshipped. We'll look at some carvings later. The evidence is everywhere, guys, and all these things are being revealed. We are in the end days, so we can understand these things. And Jesus even alluded to the fact that this was a great mystery that that he was revealing in the parable of the wheat and the tares, and that's what the whole study is about. It's about the wheat and the tares. So we'll get more into that as we go. But this is the Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, meaning today, when the sons of God, and this word is Bnei Ha-Elohim, which means sons of God, which is the same reference that was in Job, whenever Satan and the sons of God went before the throne of God to challenge Yahweh about Job. It's the same word. It means angels. It means angels. So when the angels came into the daughters of men and they bore children to them, these were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. They mated with them. It's in Jude. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation. The specific angels that came down, and however they did it, they took on some flesh form. They broke a lot of dimensional laws and rules and barriers. He hath reserved them in everlasting chains under darkness. And this is what one of the trumpet judgments is. These guys are sitting underneath, I believe it's the Euphrates, in chains. They're probably like deep in the earth's core, and they're fuming because they hate humans so much. They've been locked up for however many thousands of years, and they're getting stored up for a specific time. And you do not want to be on this planet when these guys get unchained, because they have been literally in a physical hell, chained down for thousands of years, waiting for their moment to come up, and they know exactly what they're going to do when they show up. I just got done reading this by Michael Heiser from UW-Madison. It's called the Nachash and His Seed. Some explanatory notes on why the serpent in Genesis 3 wasn't a serpent. And I guess this would be the highlight of it. I would recommend you reading it if you are more interested in this subject. Here's what he says. Personally, I tend to think that in light of the serpentine appearance of divine beings in Yahweh's presence, what we have in Genesis 3 is wordplay, using all the meanings of the Nachash is what that word is, semantic range. That is, Eve was not talking to a snake. She was speaking to a bright, shining, upright being who was serpentine in appearance and who was trying to bewitch her with lies. She was in the presence of one of the sons of God, beings who had free will, who were more powerful than mere angels, whom humanity was created a little lower. Psalm 8:4-5, he references that. She was speaking to a member of the divine council who did not share Yahweh's enthusiasm for his new creation, humankind, to whom Yahweh had just given rule over the planet. These mere humans were, as the lesser Elohim, had been previously created as Yahweh's image. Let us, from Genesis 1, to rule the cosmos for Yahweh and earth. So Satan knew that this human race, that God had breathed his spirit into the nostrils, was going to one day rule everything with Jesus Christ. And so his plan from the get-go was to corrupt this race as quick as he could. And he did not hesitate. He came in and tempted Eve. And a lot of times in the Bible, almost every time in the Bible that you hear of trees or roots, it's always talking about progeny. It's talking about procreation. The root of David. Let me find some other scriptures on that. Do not rejoice, O Philistia, all of you, because the rod that struck you is broken, for from the serpent's root a viper will come out, and its fruit will be a flying serpent. Another translation says flying, fiery serpent. This is verse 30, Isaiah 14. Those who are most hopeless will eat, and the needy will lie down in security. I will destroy your root with famine and kill off all your survivors. The point of the Old Testament, and the reason that explains a lot of the assumed arbitrary genocide of God, was he was eradicating. I mean, it's just like termite control. I mean, this was an infection in the human race, and that's why I was saying kill off everything. I mean, the firstborn, kill off the babies, the infants, the whole thing, because underneath the skin there was something that was not of his creation, not of his intent. And he knew that if this race would survive, the whole Ishmael-Isaac split, Esau and Jacob, all the splits, if all these splits still existed, then there would be this trouble that we're in now. Why do you think Iran wants to kill Jerusalem? I mean, it's a wild donkey. It's the whole thing. They've been around forever. They've been butting heads forever. They hate each other because they are of different bloodlines. Jesus hinted at this concept in, I think, Matthew 12:25. And Jesus knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself cannot stand. So when a race is split in two and they're warring and want to kill each other the whole time, that's why we have all these major wars. I mean, what species would want to nuke more of itself? Aren't we supposed to be working together for the greater good of the race? So there's two races that are battling here. Genesis 3:15 told us about it long, long ago. This same scripture is in Luke. I mean, the same thing. It's Luke 11:17. Every kingdom divided itself is brought to desolation. Now, this is where it gets kind of dicey. The abomination of desolation. Guys, Jesus broke that covenant. We're not going back to this temple thing. The curtain was ripped. The altar was smashed in two. If you read the workings of Josephus, he was just, it's not biblical, but he did history of right around the time after Jesus was resurrected. The Jews were trying to sacrifice goats on the altar again, and they wouldn't light on fire. God is not going to accept these sacrifices anymore. That's not the covenant we're under. Not even the Israelites. They're not under that covenant. They can come to Christ and join in with this new covenant that Jesus offered the Gentiles. It's for the Jews too. And people that are waiting on this temple to be rebuilt, someone commented on the last video that, oh, well, the one world order hasn't come into place, so the rapture can't happen yet. I don't know where they're getting that, because my Bible tells me it's going to be a sneak attack. For as a snare it shall come upon all them that dwell on the face of the earth. This is Luke 21:35, and this is Isaiah 24:17. Terror and a pit and snare, fear and the pit, disastrous pits, traps. O inhabitant of the earth, everyone, it's gonna catch everyone off guard. And Jesus Christ is the only escape. It's not going to be something that's very obvious and easy to see. There's not going to be a temple being rebuilt, and we'll be able to count down the days to whenever all these things are going to happen. That's deception from the enemy to lull everyone to sleep. Oh, we're fine. Don't worry about it. There's got to be a covenant made with Israel. There's going to be a giant contract signed, and you'll see the temple being rebuilt. The one world currency will be in place. No, all these things are going to happen. Boom, boom, boom. And people are going to be reeling. Their heads are going to be spinning. They're not going to know what's going on. People are disappeared. Was it because of the nukes? Was it because of the floods? What's going on? Is the Bible true? Are these aliens really aliens, or are they fallen angels? Are they demons? Are they here to help us? These are going to be the questions. So that's the reason that I'm making all these videos, because the demons are fallen angels, and they are the aliens, and they are going to pretend to be good, and they're going to end up eating your children in the streets. This is the parable of the wheat and the tares. This is Matthew 13:24. The kingdom of heaven, this is Jesus speaking, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. When the blade was sprung up, and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said, Sir, did you not sow good seed in the field? From whence hath these tares showed up? Where'd these weeds come from? And he said, An enemy did this. The servant said, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? Do you want us to go weed them out? But he said, No, lest ye gather up the tares, ye root up the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. So the disciples were confused, and they asked him, this is verse 36, Declare unto us the parable of the tares of the fields. He said, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. It's harvest time. You have a choice. You are either of the devil. John 8:44 says the same thing. Your father is Lucifer, or you're a member of the kingdom of heaven. You're either going to bow before the king because you're wheat, or your tares, you're going to stand up straight, and you're going to be chaff, and you're going to get burned up. They look the exact same. Guys, they've been here a long time. The reptiles came out of the sky. These are the Sumerian carvings. People worship them. They can look human. These are the carvings. They eat people. This is the article on Tribulation Now. I'll put the links below. They seduced Eve. And this race has been seducing humans
ever since. It's a show. It's pawns acting out parts. Star Trek hinted at this. I guess I never watched Star Trek, but in the 70s, someone put together this compilation of this episode from long ago about this alien entity that is fomenting hostilities, and the end product is just mass death.
What are you doing here? Fuel the Cleons! Sliver us, isn't it?
When the lieutenant became unconscious, the alien lost energy.
It subsists on the emotions of others.
This one appears to be strengthened by mental radiations of hostility, violent intentions.
It exists on the hate of others.
To put it simply. And it has acted as a catalyst, creating this situation. In order to satisfy that need, it has brought together opposing forces in an effort to promote the most violent mode of conflict.
We've got to get rid of it.
Then all hostile attitudes on board must be eliminated. The fighting must end, and soon.
Or we're a doomed ship. We've got to pool our knowledge. We must find a way to defeat the alien force of hate, stop the war now, or spend eternity in futile, bloody violence.
It's true. A house divided against itself, a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. Something else is making us want to just kill ourselves. Just grab your country's flag and jam it down the other guy's throat. We're all the same, guys, and this isn't some hokey kumbaya around the fire message. This is, we are, first, we belong to the kingdom of heaven. Second, we are, Americans. So we have to understand that our priority first has to be to love everyone unconditionally like Jesus loved us first. We can't, just because Iran is trying to start a war with Israel. I mean, some of people I know personally, they're excited to go to war. They want to go kill people, and this is a deception, and it makes me sad that people think that way. And trust me, I'm not a pacifist. I'm ready to kick some butt at the Battle of Armageddon. I'm going to come and watch Jesus with the sword of his mouth destroy all the armies of Lucifer. So the seed of the serpent, this is a real thing. It is an invisible hand. They used to rule overtly because they were giants and people couldn't argue with them because they were huge. And since then, they've become more serpent-like and more slick and sly, and they're promoting lies and just manipulating the public. These are two of the biggest movies they're going to come out this year. This is Spider-Man 4. It's called The Amazing Spider-Man. There's a rumor of a new species in New York, and this is Battleship. I went and saw John Carter, and 4 out of the 5 previews were about massive worldwide alien invasions. And I was looking around like, does anyone notice a theme here? Listen to the sounds, guys. These are the sounds that everyone's hearing around the world. It's not that they're coming and they're going to find us. They're already here. And this is going to be the great play. They're going to do a galactic good cop, bad cop. They're going to come and free us from the controlling, NWO that's already here, the New World Order, which is just Lucifer. It's just his hand running it through his pawns. The good aliens are going to come and free us from this slavery. And they're going to appear to be the Messiah. And they're going to appoint a human representative as the Antichrist, and they're going to say that we have avoided the Bible, because they're going to stop World War III, and they're going to pretend like that was the Battle of Armageddon, and that we can rewrite the Bible now. So go ahead and throw your Bible out. Go ahead and take this mark, because we stopped the nuclear chaos. We came in our ships and we stopped all the warheads, and we exposed these reptiles that are running the planet, and we eradicated them. Worship us. Let's evolve together. Just take this little thing in your hand or your forehead. got to think bigger. This is going to be a big deception. It's a strong delusion, and it says that it would fool even the elect if God allowed it. So even the hardcore Christians, the elect, they're going to be fooled if they were still here. I think that the real Christians are going to be taken out of the way. So you have a choice. It's harvest time. Kneel before the King, Jesus Christ. Or if you don't believe me and you think this is all stupid, or you just want to see what happens, you're going to get your wish. And I pray that you don't choose that path, because these things are going to be running around in the street, and you're going to see these things that we thought were human, and they're not. Just like the tares. You can't tell the difference. They grow with the wheat and they look the same until the end of the age. Those that bow are the wheat, and those that stand up straight are the tares, and they are the seed of the enemy. They're the seed of the devil, the seed of Satan. And that means that they're going to look freaky, and they're going to have the slit eyes. Unlike me, some people think that I'm a reptile, which doesn't make any sense. I would be the worst reptile ever. I'm exposing the reptiles. They said my hand turned to a claw when I took my hat off. Is it turning into a claw? Alright, that's enough of that. So you have a choice, guys. You have a choice. You can you can bow before Jesus Christ. Kneel. Is there a reason why we're seeing all these kneels? That Tebow's doing this kneeling. We're at the end. You can kneel and you can embrace Jesus, or you can stand up proud, and and mock God, which is exactly what The Walking Dead is doing. And I knew that the whole zombie thing was Satan's kind of backhanded slap at God, but this just confirms it. This was the season finale of The Walking Dead, and let me see if I can get this going here.
They'll be here, and you don't know that. Man of God, have some faith. I can't profess to understand God's plan. Christ promised a resurrection of the dead. I just thought he had something a little different in mind.
And there it is. Christ promised the resurrection of the dead. I just thought he had something different in mind. I knew that that's what this show was doing. And if we go to the scriptures, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel and the trump of God. The dead in Christ shall rise first, and go to meet the Lord. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds. They're not going to walk around like zombies, to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. I think maybe that Satan is going to use these open graves as a chance, as an opportunity to release some demonic creatures he's created in a lab that'll look like zombies, and maybe even look like a lot of people that that we knew and loved, but actually is just flesh walking around. I don't know. It's gonna be creepy. It says that it's gonna be the worst time ever. And so we have to think outside the box. Not that it's important, because I plan on being out of here, but for those that are left behind, if you see zombies, if you see aliens, if you see reptiles, know that the Bible talks about it. The Bible has the answer, and the only answer is Jesus Christ. If you're stumbling upon this video and I'm not here anymore, then go find your nearest Christian and ask how you can get to know Jesus. If I'm still here, send me a message if you want to know more about it. If the Lord's tugging on your heart, then maybe you are one of these members of the wheat, and that you still have time to humble yourself and kneel before the Lord Jesus Christ before he comes and burns up those that reject him. God bless you guys. I love you all. Message me if you have any questions about who Jesus was.